to our first ever Program of Studies podcast. Today we will be talking about the dual enrollment options at CHS, which provide students with opportunities to earn college credit prior to their high school graduation. My name is Susan Holcomb, and I am joined today by school counselor Alicia Malillo, who is our Yukon site representative. I should also mention the winner of the Site Representative Award for Excellence in Program Administration. Math Department Facilitator and teacher of 2 Yukon courses, Tracy Randazzo. Science Department Facilitator and teacher of 1 CT State Middlesex course, Beth Martinkowski. World Language Department Facilitator and teacher of 2 Yukon courses, Christina Williams. Technology Guru and teacher of 2 Central Connecticut State University courses, Doug McGuff. And PE Health and Wellness teacher in grade 6 through 12 and teacher of 2 Central courses, Josh LeMay. Thank you all for being here. To start us off, I am going to ask Mrs. Malillo to talk a little bit about what dual enrollment is and how it works. Mrs. Malillo, what do students and parents need to know?
Dual enrollment are college-credited courses that students can take at Cromwell High School, earning both college credit and high school credit at the same time. We have a partnership agreement with Yukon, Central Connecticut State University, and Middlesex Community College to offer 12 college courses at CHS next school year that are open to students. During our course selection process, which is happening right now, and our scheduling process that will happen in late April, early May, school counselors and teachers will work with students to encourage them to consider these classes.
And then they get credit for both the class at the college and also high school credit here.
Yes. So Central Connecticut State University and Middlesex Community College courses are free. There is a fee for Yukon Early College Experience courses, but it's significantly reduced through our high school partnership program. A 3-credited course taken at Cromwell High School costs $150, $50 per 1 credit. If a student took a 3-credited course at Yukon on their campus, they would pay $2,043, $681 per 1 credit. So there's about a 90% financial savings through our high school partnership program. Yukon does waive all the fees for students who qualify for the federal free and reduced lunch program, and they offer financial hardship waivers to students and families too.
And the central classes are free?
Yes, and the Middlesex Community College course too is.
Well, that's fantastic. Okay, Mrs. Martinkowski, what dual enrollment courses do you teach, and what do you think the students like most about it?
I teach an anatomy and physiology course that is concurrent with Middlesex Community College. I think that students like having the opportunity to engage in the systems and learn about disease process and how that affects their body. And also, I think probably one of their favorite things is doing dissections. For some reason, all the students either love the dissections or don't love the dissections, but end up loving it in the long run, even if initially they don't want to participate. Everybody loves the dissection piece of the course.
So are those dissections like when most of us were in high school, or have they changed a lot since then? What do you dissect and what does it look like?
Yeah, I think that when we were in high school, we probably didn't have as detailed dissections. I do at least a heart, sometimes an eye, a sheep's eye, and we always do the fetal pig at the end. And it's a really good wrap-up because initially it is tough to see an animal like that, but the kids get so engrossed in looking at all of the parts and being able to name them and understand what's happening because they've already gone through all the systems. They end up really, really liking it.
And then they get, for that course, credit through CT State Community College programs, and those can transfer to most colleges, I would assume. Right,
absolutely. And so Middlesex, the kids apply to Middlesex Community College, and even if they don't meet the requirements, they can take some kind of test to see if they actually can take the course and still get the college credit. So even if initially they don't have the grades or they don't have some of the prerequisites, they can opt out of them by either taking some type of test to show that they're actually ready to take this level of a course.
Mrs. Randazzo, is that how it works for math? Do they need to take a test sort of to get in, or how does it work with your Yukon courses?
To get into the Yukon course?
Yes.
No, they have to take pre-calculus prior to taking the Math 1131Q Yukon ECE course. And I currently teach the pre-calculus courses as well, so I make the recommendations for the students who can take the Yukon class.
And I know we have a calculus class that students take, and then we have the Yukon Calculus.
Right. This past year was the first year that we were able to offer level 1 calculus as well. So students have that option as well. So it's either level 1 calculus, which doesn't give you the Yukon credit, or there's the Yukon ECE course that I teach.
And could you tell us a little bit about the difference, like the academic rigor difference, or how much content you cover?
Yeah, it's more about the pacing. So the level 1 course still covers those the same topics or the same units, but the Yukon course we definitely go a lot faster and definitely more in depth, more challenging, more rigor. Yeah.
Do you think that taking the Yukon course prepares them better for college, or just in a different way than the calculus course?
I feel like it definitely prepares them better because they get used to that fast pace, which, we're doing our Yukon course. It's a fall course, so they're taking their exam in January. Yukon, if they were students at Yukon, they would be taking it in December for the first semester. But they give us a little leeway with our high school schedules, and they let them take it in January. But it's the full course that they're taking in the fall at Yukon. So it gets them used to the level of homework that they'll be seeing in college. So I definitely think it gives them a better idea of what college will be like.
That's probably true for all of our Yukon courses. Mm-hmm. Our podcast booth actually isn't big enough to have all of the teachers in here because we offer a Yukon economics course, an AP French language and culture course, a French global culture, and then at CCSU we offer a personal finance course. But we couldn't fit everybody in the booth today, but we do have Christina Williams here who does teach some of the Yukon world language classes. Christina, can you tell us a little bit about what you teach?
Yeah, so I teach 2 courses. The semester 1 fall course is Yukon ECE 3178. It's a composition course. The course is really cool because I get to pick some literature pieces that don't really have an ending, and so or gratifying ending. And so the composition part for students is to finish that piece. And then I teach the semester 2 spring, the 3179 Conversation of Cultural Topics course, and that's a conversation class.
Do you see that students that take those courses, do they have more growth? Do they have a better understanding or handle on the language? What are some of the perks coming out of the Yukon courses?
So the fall course, the assessment for that course is in the December time period. And then they have their assessment again for their showcase that we have at Cromwell High School. So those students are definitely getting assessed, and so that rigor is definitely good for them for the college level that they are going to maybe see. But the spring course is really neat because they get to have conversations. Their exam is they watch the documentary, and then they have to have an interview with me, whether it's by phone, Zoom, in person, and they have to speak for at least 20 minutes. And so it takes a long time, but it's a skill set that I think will be useful for them, whether they go into the workforce, the military, a 2-year school, a trade school. They are trying to figure out another language and decipher what it means and how they can use it in real life.
So is that assessment one of yours, or is it one of the requirements for Yukon? How do they actually get the credit?
So the syllabus, they give us some samples, but I've created my own syllabus that has to be approved. The ECE department for modern languages comes and sees me almost every year. I'm also going to go on March 25th to their campus, and I have a workshop, so it's rigorous for me as a teacher, which I enjoy. They're giving us an opportunity to present some of our lessons, so I'm going to do that this year. But I've created that assessment because I think that's a real-life assessment where you're watching something and then you have to discuss it, whether it's in a conversation, a phone call, something like that. So I like to use real-life examples to assess my students.
And is that, so your syllabus is approved through Yukon, so if the students do well in your course, they automatically get that credit?
Yes, they do.
Is that the same for math, or is there a different assessment opportunity?
No, so they take the final exam, which is sent to me by Yukon, and I also add my own questions. If they pass that exam, what I do is I calculate their Cromwell High School grade, and that's the grade that I'll send to Yukon, and they have to approve it. And the only thing is that sometimes, like if the student's grade in my class is, let's say, an A-, but they get a C+ on the exam, the highest grade they can get for the Yukon grade that would go on the Yukon transcript would be a B+. It has to be like one letter grade above what they got on their exam. Yep.
Mrs. Marcinkowski, is that the same for anatomy and physiology? Do they have a specific test, or is it your course approved?
Right. My course is approved by Middlesex Community College, and I give my exam, and they take my exam as what it, counts for them. So sometimes I have to submit exams to them for approval. But most of the time, that's like every couple of years where we'll do like kind of like a recheck and see that we're all on the same page, that everything I do aligns with what they do at the college.
So their grade that they get for your course here is the same grade as
Absolutely,
they would get?
Yep.
Let me come back to Mrs. Williams for a minute. And can you talk to us a little bit just about proficiency in language, right? Because I know Cromwell High School, you have to take 1 year of a language, which is important. Mm-hmm. And then the students who choose to pursue that and end up with the ECE credits end up with maybe 3 or 4 years of a language here. How does that work?
So I've done some research recently because it's come up quite a bit for students to kind of promote our world language courses. So I looked up Sacred Heart, Yukon, Central, and even North Carolina University, and they are looking for 3 to 4 years, depending on on their major. Engineering, it doesn't matter. Those high schools, even Brown University wants 4 years of language. Yale does not have a requirement, but obviously, they want to see that language. And so I kind of did everything between Middlesex, everything, just to see what our students would need. 4 years of that academic course gives students that structure to support English classes as well. And I really do love collaborating with you, Susan, because I think it makes a difference when we're doing love poems in Spanish and English. It just makes that comparison, and we're adding other courses. We are encouraging students to not just enjoy, having a mid-proficiency level, which is like in the scale, basic, intermediate, and then advanced, but just to enjoy the culture and to maybe want to travel. And so that's why I like the conversation course at the end, because then if they go to Italy or somewhere else, they're about to speak, and I want them to have that proficiency. Proficiency only happens if in the classes we're allowing students to make errors and to practice the language. This is a safe zone for them. And to leave with 6 credits in Spanish is incredible for them. It saves them money, and it gives them that, that almost confidence to go take placement assessments, which a lot of schools are doing. They have to. And so that's my next assignment, is to look at those assessments and to, correlate them with our assessments here at Cromwell High School.
All right, so we're going to shift at this moment from our Yukon ECE experience to some exciting new Central Connecticut State University courses that are coming up next year. So we have Josh LeMay here with us, who will be teaching 2 new courses at Central. Mr. LeMay, can you tell us a little bit about what's exciting for 2024?
Sure. And first of all, we're really excited to have the Central courses here. And 2 of the courses that I'm teaching, they strengthen the education pathway, but they really are good for anybody to take who's attending any higher education. The first one is EDF 215, Education in a Multicultural Society, and the second one is EDEL 115, which is Fostering Positive School Climate Through Aesthetic Education. And that one's a little more geared towards elementary education, but it also gets into a little bit of child psychology and what a child sees as they enter a school, the different aesthetics of the building and the setup. And I think that would even be a good course for anybody who's interested in psychology or child psychology, as well as anyone going into education. To backtrack to the first course, Education in a Multicultural Society, They're going to talk about different inequalities that people experience through education, the history of education, and then really the purpose and different ways that families in need really rely on the schools and rely on the school systems as like local cornerstones of the community. EDF 215 is going to be taught in the fall, and then EDEL 115 is going to be taught in the spring. So it's a really nice opportunity for somebody to earn 6 college credits, not only to CCSU, but they can transfer out to anywhere. And like some of the other half-year courses, it's going to be the same period. So if you take it period 3, you can elect to take one or the other, but I'm hoping that most students will take both.
So these are education courses, and you mentioned the one might be good for students going into maybe a psychology career. I'll give you a little shout out that you also are kind of in charge of our senior internship program, which is run through physical education, but is beneficial in so many ways. So when you're looking at teaching these education courses, not everyone wants to be an education major. You mentioned psychology. What other places do you think would be, like what other students do you think would want to take this, and who would be benefited by it?
Sure. So I'm envisioning it as something that can be used for a lot of students as like their elective courses in college. Anybody interested in history, anybody interested, really in anything, in anthropology as you look at the multicultural society. But that's what I'm seeing it as. Probably some people going into education will use it as their education courses. Others will use it as their electives. And not part of the question, but we thought it was really important to add it because it strengthens our education pathway. And, I think we all here think we have a great career, and there's a teacher shortage. So we're hoping to get a lot of students into these courses. And it's really win-win because if they're not going to be an educator, they still have earned the 6 credits to whatever college they're going to attend.
I think that's one of the great things about all of these opportunities, that you do leave with a college transcript. So let's bounce over to Mr. McGuff, who also has 2 new central courses that he'll be teaching. Tell us a little bit about those.
So we have TV production, which is Communications 227, and that is basically running all through the production process for TV. They'll learn the different roles. They'll get to use actual studio equipment. We have tours planned to some real TV studios as well as to CCSUs. They want to actually kind of link up with us on this, which is really great. They're actually talking about having some of their students come here to work with us and us going there to work with them. So that is really kind of a positive experience. And then the other course we've added is Com 228, which is digital video production, which is more kind of on the movie side of things. So, while there is overlap between what you do for TV production, what you do for video production, there's also a lot of differences. And so it kind of lets them explore the differences between, if they end up taking both of those courses, they're not going to be doing the same thing in those courses. It's exploring 2 different realms within that communications pathway.
So you mentioned some people may be coming here and our students going out to other places. Are there some specific projects or initiatives in mind that the kids will be working on?
So we definitely have some specific projects that we're going to be working on. One of them is they're going to be developing a commercial, and our plan for that is actually they're going to be creating a commercial for a real business, a local business here in Cromwell. They're going to have to work with those outside people to build that commercial, to get it approved. So we're trying to make the experience as lifelike and realistic as possible. So, that, again, builds that connection with us in the community as well. So
it seems like in a lot of these dual enrollment courses, the students are getting the content knowledge they need, but so much more in the community, things that they can use in their future careers, and also the experience of what it's like to be a college student. And that practice, too, is, I think, extremely beneficial. So we do have a few parents sitting at the table. I know that my 2 children we didn't go to school in Cromwell, but they took some college courses in high school. And my daughter took 2. And then she went to her school in California, and they were both accepted. One was from Capital Community College and one from Yukon. and San Diego State accepted both of those. So she went in with 6 college credits and a really good GPA. And I know that Mrs. Randazzo, your son went to Cromwell High School, and I know he took some of those courses. So can you give us a little bit of a parent perspective of how that was important for him or effective and maybe great for your pocketbook?
Sure. Yeah. Yes. So my son, Zach, he graduated in 2021. And while he was here, he took, I don't know how many AP classes, but it was enough. And he also took a few summer classes as well. But he's able to graduate from Yukon with the degree in civil engineering in 3 years. So, so definitely a savings for us.
So these opportunities right now, it looks in the program of study for 2024-2025 that we have quite a few dual enrollment courses. Mrs. Randazzo mentioned our AP courses where students can also earn college credit. So I guess I'm going to come back to Mrs. Melillo one more time. Can you just tell us a little bit the difference between dual enrollment and AP, since both of them earn some college credit?
So one major difference, and I think really the most important, is with the dual enrollment courses and AP classes, is the grade reporting. So students earn an A through F grade on an official college transcript from Yukon, CCSU, Middlesex Community College. Students receive a score of 5 through 1 from the College Board on their advanced placement exam, which colleges interpret for potential transfer credit. Typically, the dual enrollment course credits successfully transfer to other colleges and universities at about a rate of 85%. You don't need to attend one of those colleges to have your courses recognized. Sometimes the transfer of credit can be more direct from a dual enrollment course, like from Yukon, Middlesex, CCSU, than advanced placement. Yukon, CCSU, and Middlesex have credit transfer databases on their website to identify potential credit to various colleges. And students and families can also check on any college website that they're thinking about applying to or attending under a transfer credit tool to review the specific policies.
If you have a student who takes, let's say we talked about Yukon Calculus, but then they also take AP Statistics, the potential is they get both of those credits moving forward?
Yes.
Depending on their score on the AP exam.
Right. And what the policy is at the college or university that they're planning to attend.
All right. You've all been so helpful today. I appreciate your willingness to talk about these fantastic new opportunities. For our listeners who want more information, you can take a look at our program of studies online, where you'll find a lot of additional details about course specifics and all of our college partnership programs.